Good teams, they beat bad teams. And the Phillies, I would qualify as a good team over the last couple of years, while the Rockies have certainly been not just a bad team, but perhaps one of the worst teams in baseball over the last few seasons. And the Phillies have taken care of business against the Rockies. They're 11-2 against Colorado since the beginning of the 2024 season, including a 7-0 record against them last year. In fact, the last time the Rockies beat the Phillies was back in May of 2024, so it's been nearly 2 years since the Phillies have lost to the Rockies. Now, the Phils hit the road for the first time in 2026 to head to Colorado, and we've got our first late-night baseball of the year. Well, kind of, at least. That will come a little bit more in the second series of the West Coast trip when the Phillies head to San Francisco to take on the Giants. But the first stop is Denver to take on the Colorado Rockies for 3 games. The Rockies themselves spent the last week on the eastern side of North America, going 2-4 in their first 2 series of the year against the Miami Marlins and the Toronto Blue Jays. Offensively, the Rockies find themselves kind of right in the middle of the pack in most statistical categories across baseball, but the one place that they've really struggled is in the strikeout department. As a team so far, they've struck out 63 times this year through the first 6 games of the season, including striking out 10 times versus Kevin Gausman in their last game. While their team average is around, well, average, the Rockies aren't getting on base much aside from hits. Their .279 OBP ranks 5th worst early in the season, and no surprise, their OPS isn't much better. That's 8th worst, sitting at .637 as a collective unit. Now, the pitching for the first time has been pretty decent. At least the first time plus through the rotation has been much better for the Rockies. Collectively, the Rockies are 9th in team ERA at a 3.66, and the starters have been even a little bit better, posting a 3.16 through just under 26 innings. To the Phillies' detriment, they have been strong against lefties, posting a 1.04 whip and 21 strikeouts in 22 innings pitched. All right, so let's get to those probable starters for both the Rockies and the Phillies. A pair of WBC teammates will face off in Game 1, as Team Italy's Aaron Nola and Michael Lorenzen will each get their second starts of the season. Nola struck out 7 over 5 innings in his first start of the year against the Texas Rangers, but he did not factor into the decision as that game ended up going into extras. He gave up 2 home runs, the solo shot to Corey Seager, and a 2-run home run to Jake Berger for the 3 runs that he did allow, kind of consistent to where Aaron Nola has been for most of his year and most of his career. Now, this will be Nola's 12th career start against the Rockies, and it's a team that he's had a lot of success against in the past. He's 4-2 with a 3.33 ERA and just over 70 innings of work, and he struck out over a batter per inning pitched in his career against this Rockies team. This current iteration of the Rockies haven't fared well against Aaron Nola throughout their time, with the exception of Jake McCarthy, who's one of the newer acquisitions to this team. He's 6 for 13 with 2 home runs and 7 RBIs against Nola. McCarthy, though, is off to a slow start in 2026. He's got just 2 hits in his first 18 at-bats and has posted a -5 OPS plus. He has led the National League in stolen bases through the first week, though, with 4, so if he does get on, he's going to look to run. Nola will be opposed by a former Phil, Michael Lorenzen. He makes his second start of the year for the Rockies. He pitched into the 5th in his Colorado debut against the Marlins, giving up 3 runs on 7 hits, striking out 4. Now, of the 57 at-bats against this current group of Phillies, Lorenzen has faced Kyle Schwarber by far the most of any Philly. He's faced Schwarber 24 times so far. He's 9 for 24 against Schwarber. Schwarber has 5 extra base hits, including 2 home runs. The rest of the group of Phillies is 10 for 33 in their careers against Michael Lorenzen. Now let's look to Game 2, a Saturday night start. Really the only night start of this series. Jesus Luzardo looks to bounce back against the Rockies after a shaky first start in Game 2. He'll be opposed by, well, it was supposed to be Jose Quintana. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a little bit. Luzardo gave up 6 runs over 6 innings in his start against the Rangers, and he himself, much like Nola, was doomed by the long ball. 5 of his 6 runs came on 2 swings of the bat from Andrew McCutchen and Brandon Nimmo. The stuff I thought was solid, but Luzardo's command just wasn't. He struck out 7, but that command really just was not there in this game. This will be Luzardo's 6th appearance and 4th start against the Colorado Rockies in his career, but he has seen his fair share of struggles at Coors Field. The Rockies are hitting .271 against Luzardo in his career while on the road at Coors Field. It marks the 4th highest average for any one ballpark in which Luzardo has pitched at least 3 times. And to pair with that, he has a 7.11 ERA in those appearances in Denver. Now, the good news, this current group of Rockies have found little success against Luzardo. They're just 4 for 23 with 10 punchouts against the lefty in his career. Now, Luzardo was supposed to be opposed by the crafty lefty Jose Quintana, who is 15 years into his major league career that began all the way back in 2012. And we know Quintana has certainly given the Phillies a lot of issues over the last couple of years. But the Rockies announced this week that Quintana is headed to the IL with a right hamstring strain, which in turn means that he's not going to face the Phillies. They have, in fact, called up Valente Belloso from AAA Albuquerque. And while it's true the Phillies have struggled with Quintana, they'll instead get another junk baller, Belloso, who they have seen quite a few times over the last couple of years. He was pitching for the Marlins in each of the last 2 years. And in fact, he threw 7 shutout innings against the Phillies back in August of 2024. But he has faced them 6 other times as a member of the Marlins in the last 2 years. Last year was not nearly as kind to Belloso. He gave up 8 earned runs across 9 innings out of the bullpen, and whether he starts, acts as an opener, or pitches out of the pen, it remains to be seen, but he will likely be called upon at some point on Saturday to face the Phillies. Game 3, the finale of this series. You like offense? Well, you're almost certainly sure to find it in the series finale Sunday afternoon, because the Phillies will send Taijuan Walker to the mound, who gave up 7 runs, 6 of them earned over just 4 2/3 in his first start of the season against the Nationals last week. Now, he did give up 10 hits, and while 10 hits is 10 hits, there's really no way around thinking about the fact that the Nationals had a couple of bleeders, a couple of bloops. They had several of those. Find soft spots in the zone, find some spots in the grass in that win, because the Nationals so far have had a lot of success with light hit balls. They have the 3rd most hits in all of baseball, but the 27th average exit velocity across Major League Baseball this year. So it partially could explain the 10 hits, but it doesn't entirely excuse them. Again, 10 hits is 10 hits. The good news is Walker has had success against this group of Rockies, including a really strong early season start at Citizens Bank Park last year against them. In total, this iteration of the Rockies are just 5 for 29 with 0 extra base hits off Walker and an on-base percentage under 300. He'll be opposed by Tomoyuki Sugano. Sugano signed a 1-year deal this offseason with the Rockies after struggling with the long ball in Baltimore last season. He gave up an AL most 33 home runs last year. Only Jake Irvin and Zach Littell, who was traded midway through the season, gave up more. Wait a minute. He struggled giving up home runs, and he signed to pitch at Coors Field, the ballpark that's been rated the #1 hitter-friendly ballpark in every single season of the last decade, according to Baseball Savant's Park Factor. What's the over-under in this game? What's the line? It's got to be what, like 11? I'm probably still going to take the over because of this pitching matchup. Anyway, Adolis Garcia is the only Philly to have faced Sugano. He's 1 for 3 in his career. The Phillies have an opportunity to stack series wins for the first time this season as they hit the road for the first time in 2026. They'll look to continue their dominance over the Rockies with yet another series win this weekend. Again, thanks so much for hanging out with us here on Philly Central. If you have not done so already, please hit that subscribe button. We're climbing. We're getting a little bit closer to our goal of 250 by the end of April. It takes just a second, and it immensely helps us out. If you haven't already, also leave a like on this video. If you liked what you saw, let me know what you want to see more of on this channel as we continue to build the content. And as always, thanks for hanging out with us right here on Philly Central.